Second.
Yeah, you can do it. I think I get to introduce her at an event on Wednesday night, so you can introduce her now.
I'll take it. I love it. Because this woman was on stage with me when we made NMD October 2015, Nashville conference. And oh my goodness, we met backstage. I'll tell y'all, magic happens backstage. We just started talking. I found out that she has a twin, right, Kim? Twin?
Yeah,
twin sister. So I'm like totally jealous right away. I've always wanted to be a twin, and I'm the only child. But I was like, I found out she's in Raleigh. We're only an hour away. And I was like, we are going to get her. We're going to get her into this juice plus business. So I don't know if that's happened yet or not, Kim, but I know family's tough, right?
Yep. She's the product, but hey, you know, if I can crack my twin sister, maybe I shouldn't be a guest speaker, right?
I love it. But Kim has been such a joy to watch. Like, I seriously didn't know her before that, but she is incredible on social media. She did a training at conference for it, right? Just, I mean, if you guys aren't following her, follow this woman right now on Facebook. She's creative, she's witty, she's real, and I think that's why she's done so great in this business, because she's been herself. And that's the best thing that you can bring to this table in this business. Also, Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just heard you went from 39 to 50 in 1 month.
I did. We did, not I. Our team did. But yeah, we went from 39 in 39 in February to 50 in April.
Freaking amazing. So she's kind of like a hero in my eyes. I can't wait to hear like what she's been doing, because everyone in this group, Team PCS, Team Trigger, y'all have potential to do this. So we brought it. Kristen Blumen really did a great job bringing Kim in. So just a real awesome businesswoman that I totally respect. And I'm going to shut up so you can talk.
Oh, I'm so thrilled to be here. I mean, honestly, this is one of my favorite things to do. And I think one of the things that I have gotten the most out of from this business is a lot of this cross-team activity and relationship building, because every team kind of has their own culture, their own way of doing things. So I just feel like the more we can share across team lines, the stronger we all are. And if you're not doing it already, one of the things I would recommend is reaching out to people that are in a similar position as you in the marketing plan, and masterminding with them on how you're, like, if you have a group of 10 sales coordinators, maybe between 3 or 4 different teams, it's so great to bring those different teams together and just kind of share shamelessly, right, what we're all doing, because none of us have time, nor should we be recreating the wheel. So I think that we have something extraordinarily unique in our business. I'm sure that those of you who have been in the business long enough, if you have friends that are in other kind of direct selling type organizations, this is rather unheard of, where here it's the norm. And I love that. It's one of the things that I absolutely love and respect the most. So my husband and business partner is here with me. So I'm going to have him add a thing or two. I don't know how many gents we have on the phone tonight, but I think Sean brings some really great feedback on maybe if your significant other isn't involved yet, like a really amazing role they can play in helping to support you in the growth of your business. And then at some point, if it feels like it begins to make sense for them to get hands-on involved, what that might look like, because it's a really cool thing. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I came to the Juice Plus product and business slightly differently, I think, than some people do. And that is because so many amazing stories that I hear start with, I was suffering with X, Y, and Z sometimes, or I was really struggling with A, B, and C. And my friend shared Juice Plus, the concept of fruits and vegetables in a capsule. That was not my story. I really consider myself to be very, very lucky. We were not struggling with a chronic illness. Both my husband and I and our 2 kids were very healthy, but I was going through a health coach certification. I was a biology major and have a little bit of a biology as well as a business background. But if there was one thing I knew to be true, it was the value of nutrition and how that was going to impact prevention and wellness down the road. And I also knew that we were healthy now, and that when I look at both sides of my family, they are littered with heart disease, cancer, diabetes, stroke, up one side and down the other. My mom's a 2-time cancer survivor already. Okay. So I realized that although we were healthy now, the one main determining factor in what this path was going to look like year and year was how much plant matter can I get into my body. I knew that to be critically important. So for me, I was a person that started Juice Plus, flooding my body and my family because of prevention. And I've been sharing with a lot of my team members, I'm doing a lot of coaching calls right after conference. It's okay if your story is not one of vast transformation and healing. That's not going to be everybody's story. And I think sometimes people feel like unless they have that really strong story of total transformation or healing from something or other themselves, that maybe their voice won't be as strong. And I don't think that's true at all. And I think I'm a good example of that. I think it is more than okay for your story to be that you care about prevention and that you feel very strongly about plants being able to play a role in that. The other thing I think that does for us when we are sharing with people is it puts them in the mindset of prevention and not just trying to see such visible, tangible results, because I think we can sometimes shoot ourselves in the foot there, right? You know, well, this person, it totally took away their eczema, migraines, and IBS. And if that doesn't happen for me, then this product isn't working. So regardless of what your story is, I think it can be beneficial to at least talk a little bit about the unseen and the prevention side of things. It's been my story, and it's been very, very effective. Now, I had a little bit of a different start in the business too than some people do, because I was not team building right away. Shame on me. And I know better now, and I start my team off in a very different way now than I did when I started. But I always share with people those first few years in the business, I was very, very product focused. I have such a firm belief in the product and what it can do. And I'm using the word acquired for a reason. I acquired a lot of customers because I was sharing the product. A couple years in, shame on me, it took that long to get to a conference. My eyes were open wide on the actual business opportunity. And I saw amazing speakers and amazing business leaders from all kinds of backgrounds making a life, you know? And I love this hashtag that's going around right now, the Family Freedom Project, because I think it's so, so true. So I spent the next couple years sharing the business a lot, and I acquired a lot of team members. So something happened roughly 2 years ago, and I really started focusing so much more on lifestyle and not the product or the business. And I still share the product and I still share the business, but what I really try to share more is lifestyle. And I think Family Freedom Project is a great way to put it. Freedom from an illness perspective, right? And then that time and financial freedom that you really can't get in a traditional job. And I think it's so important. I told Sean, I met somebody at the playground when Caitlin was in a class earlier, and I was just kind of dropping. She was asking me what I did, and I was like, oh, my husband and I have a business. We work together out of the house. And I kind of talked about how we're thinking about moving to a beach, and she was just fascinated by all this. And by the end, she was like, wait, stop. You have to tell me what it is you do. I'm so fascinated. How do you do, you know, like she was dying to know what is it that's enabled you to be able to have that flexibility. So once I started sharing more lifestyle, I went from like acquiring customers and team members to inspiring customers and team members. And that was a huge turning point for me. And I will tell you that I truly believe, and they often say, that there are two really important days in your Juice Plus journey. One is the day you start your business, and the second is the day you decide to treat it like one. And it really took me a little while to wrap because I came from a corporate sales position. So did Sean. And there was nothing feel good about that. There was no helper's high. Okay. It was very business oriented. It took me a few years in to this experience to realize that you can absolutely positively be, you know, servant hearted and mission driven and still treat this like a business. And the more you treat it like a business, the more people you're going to help. So the big changing point for me was a rainy March morning in 2015. I was sitting at senior sales coordinator. It had taken me a couple years to get there because I always say those first few years in the business, I was involved and I was consistent, but I was involved. I had not made that decision to say, I am really going to go for it. So it was one of those rainy mornings where I wasn't sure where to begin with my day, to be honest. And I decided to listen to an Eric Worre training. And I had never listened to anything by him before at that time, but it was really interesting because it was the concept of the power of adding 20 reps direct to you in 30 days. Okay. And it wasn't talking about Juice Plus. It was talking about in this kind of direct selling in general, where you have the ability to grow a team. You know, what is the impact of going full throttle for a short period of time? So for those of you who know anything about him, he has interviewed hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of six-figure earners in this kind of marketplace. And what he said was he could not find a character trait or two that were consistent personality-wise or even daily method of operation-wise that was consistent across the board. And that's what he was looking for. That's what he went looking for. Or what are the character traits? What are the things people are doing every day to get them to that level? But what he did say was consistent was that 100% of the people that were six-figure earners could trace a lion's share of their success back to a month to 2 or 3 month period of time where they just went all out massive action. Every single one of them said everything changed such and such a date. And so he was just talking about the value of that. And he gave an example that I will never forget. And he talked about how if we were piloting an airplane and we were trying to get it off of the runway, that if we were just going slow and steady, you hear all the time, slow and steady wins the race. No, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. Or just don't give up. Like, just not giving up isn't enough, right? Like, we've got to be more intentional than that. And I'm going to share some of the things we've been doing in our team as far as working smart and being intentional. But he said, if you're trying to get a plane off the runway and you're just going slow and steady, you're going to either run out of runway or run out of gas before you ever get off the ground. And that happens to so many people when they're engaged in this sort of business. And he said, you know, if you're a pilot, what you do is you go full throttle for a short period of time, and then you get liftoff. You have momentum, at which point you can then pull back. And then you might need it a little more, and then you pull back. And then he said that the difference between the six-figure earners and the seven-figure earners was that the seven-figure earners had done one of those full core presses more than once during their career. So I wanted to test his theory because I was ready and because it made sense. So I bought a whiteboard and I didn't even shower. I went to Staples and like scribbled at the top of it. And I remember what I wrote. I said, friends don't let friends go to an office when the sun is shining, right? And I wrote below it that I am going to work day and night around the clock. And this was like the second week of March, day and night around the clock to try to help 20 of my friends start their own business between now and Memorial Day. And I had 20 blanks on there. And I said, you know, I want all of my Facebook world to keep me accountable, to hold me accountable, because I'm going to be honest about who I'm helping. And I want 20 people on here by Memorial Day. So I had literally exposed myself to the world, right? And said, like, I have to do this. It's not like I just told Sean or just told my team. I was like, I literally told everybody I was going to do this. And I have to, you know? So I did. We actually ended up adding a total of, I think, 54 direct between the two of us in about a 2 to 3 month period. I am now going to tell you that I think there's a little bit of a more effective way than doing it like that. But I do absolutely, positively, 100% for the momentum that has not just got me to NMD, because I went from SSC to NMD in 4 months during that time period. And then we hit 24 Club a couple months after that, and we've had great momentum since, okay? And I 100% attribute it to making that decision that I was going to go all in till Memorial Day. And I said to Sean, you know what? The laundry's not going to get folded unless you do it. We're going to be
I did it.
He did it. We're going to be getting takeout a little more than normal. And I have 2 little kids, you know, so, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. So I was like, you know, just some stuff's not going to get done. Like the toys aren't going to get picked up every day, but that's okay. Like I'm just going to have to be okay with some of this. I'm not going to be able to watch my horrible Bravo reality TV, but that's okay. I'll survive. Sean's like, he hears like 1 second of it and thinks he has to take a shower. It's like so dirty. But I did it. And then what I realized was, how do I manage this growth now? And what I'm going to share with you over the next, 10 minutes or so is really been a game changer for our team and how we're moving forward. I think that there's 3 things, first off, that we all need to focus on. And Christy, I will send you this coaching document that I use and reference so that you can send it out to your team if they want to use it with their teams. But it's basically like 10 questions, 9 questions that I go through with them. And typically I do it at a minimum with my qualifiers or my leaders. And then I have them also do this with their team. But one of the questions on here is, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rate your belief in our product, our business model, and yourself? Because I feel like if we can help our team members get to a 10 on all 3 of those, nothing will stop them from getting to NMD and beyond. I also share with them, it's expected that you're not a 10 walking in. Like, how can you possibly be a 10 having never heard some of these amazing stories or not understanding the potential income-wise of the business model, that sort of thing. So it's okay. I always tell them it's okay to not be a 10, but when you're honest with me, I know where I need to pour into them, right? So we're in the process of coming up with a resource right now for folks who feel like they're lagging in either product, business, or self-belief that will help them get there. And I said to a team member of mine earlier today who is very strong on product and business, self is where she rated herself much lower, like a 5 out of 10. And I said to her, I know this sounds oversimplified, but I have read before and I absolutely believe that the best way to build belief in yourself is to say you're going to do something and then do it. And it doesn't even have to be with this business. It can be with anything, right? So you say you're going to do something and choose something with your business, right? And start small, but say you're going to do something or 3 things in this coming week and then do it. And then your belief is built a little bit. And then that next week and that's next week. So the big thing that we focus on our team when somebody starts is sprinting to VF and then jogging to NMD. And the cadence we have for sprinting to VF, and if you can see my baseball chart here, we call it playing ball, who's on base. So anyone that is a current qualifier or a sponsor is right here. They are batters up, okay? Because no one is expected to do this alone. I personally, remember I said we brought on like 54 people in a 3-month period? It was really hard to get 54 people around the bases, as you can imagine. I truly believe that a great number of people to be pouring into at a time is about 3 direct to you, okay? But the second I get someone around the base, and around the bases means I have helped them achieve a self-qualified business, okay? So we try to do that in 3 months by doing 8-1, 8-1, 8-1. So 8 new customers, 1 new team member. 8 new customers, 1 new team member, 8 new customers, 1 new team member. Even if it were 8-8 and then 8-1, right? The big focus is to help them get at least 24 trio customers in that first 3 months. They don't do it alone, okay? So I will have at all times 3 people on base. As soon as I bat someone in, I start a new team member. Somebody else goes on. My team members know what going on base means. They also know they don't have to go on base. You will have people that don't want to sprint to VF, and that's okay. Maybe they just want to cover the cost or offset the cost of their own Juice Plus. They are still on your team. They are right there in your dugout on your team. They are on the bench, but they are there. They are on your team calls. They are on your Facebook page, right? But when they tell you they're ready to go on base, that's when they are pouring into you. So for me, like with Voxer, I have an all-team Voxer, but then I also have one for just whoever I've got on base, and I've got those 3 people in it. Those are the people that I want them to know, hey guys, I have an opening from 11 to 12:30 today. I would love to do three-way calls during that time, right? And we just get it done. And guess what happens magically when you're pouring into someone? And I'm going to tell you right now, raise your hand if you're live on the phone, if you would prefer this role where a friend is bringing you the people to talk to than even talking to your own friends and family. If you prefer that being that third voice. Most people really excel right here. So one of the best things that I think we can do as Juice Plus franchise owners is to say to those people out there, like, you know, when somebody buys Juice Plus, they're not buying just the product, they're buying it because they trust you. When someone joins your team, same thing. And I tell my team members all the time, when you're standing here and you're inviting someone here, I think it's really important to say to them, I will not let you down. We're going to do this together. I've got your back. And my goal when you get here is for you to have a recurring $500 a month in paycheck. From there, I'm going to show you what happens, right? But let's get you there in a 3-month period. Let's be really intentional. So if you've got 3 people at any given time, it's totally doable. So then the one big commitment on our team is every qualifier is committed to producing at least 1 new qualifier direct to them every conference to conference period. That's how you go from 12 to 24, and then 24 to 50, and then 50 to 100, and then 100 to 200, okay? And so our teams need to understand that if they're committed to that, and I say to them all the time, as a qualifier, you have proven to be capable and you've proven to be committed, you know? I do not want any of the qualifiers on my team not taking advantage of that 5% performance bonus bucket, because 5% of 0 is 0, right? So if I can get my qualifiers understanding the importance of producing just 1 more qualifier, now hopefully you're going to have a grand slam and produce 3 more qualifiers direct to you. But if your minimum commitment to yourself, I say all the time that the best part about this business is that there's no quota, and that the worst thing about this business is that there's no quota. And I really think that if we follow the baseball theory, and I even, when I put someone on base, I buy them the Juice Plus baseball cap and the Juice Plus baseball t-shirt. Like, they're suited up. They know they're on base. They know what that means. And I say to them too, like, I'm not going to just swing at nothing. They've got to be throwing me balls to connect with. But then I promise I'll knock it out of the park and you will be sprinting around those bases. It's a 2-man job. When we have somebody being if you are on this team and you're not yet qualified, if you tell your upline you want to go on base, then the 2 of you are working together for as long as it takes to get you around, and then you're here. They're going to move on and put somebody on base. You're here and you're up to bat. But the great part is you know what to do when you're there because somebody just did it for you. So the other thing we've been talking about on our team to kind of wrap that all up is just the concept of hockey stick growth. And Sean talks about this one a lot. I've got a little graphic here, but almost all businesses that work in selling goods, services, advertising clicks, no matter what it is, they almost all startups, and we are all a startup. When we start our own business, we are all starting from scratch. They almost 100% of the time, and ours is certainly true, have 4 stages of growth in the shape of a hockey stick. So they call the first part kind of tinkering, getting your feet wet. And then the blade years are when you're really putting in some effort, but it seems kind of flat or linear, your growth. You might have a little bit of an upkick. But then you reach something called the growth inflection point right here, where your growth just becomes exponential. So in the example that I just gave, where every single qualifier on your team is going to always commit to producing 1 new qualifier every period, you are doubling your business every 6 months, okay? With that, you're at least doubling your pay. And I give the example to my team, not knowing where all of you are in your business. I'm going to use 3 Club as an example, because I think in our business that the biggest inflection point happens at about 12 Club. And here's why. Because if you are today a 3 Club, we just finished conference, that would mean you should be shooting to be a minimum of 6 by fall. And then you would be a minimum of 12 by next spring. Okay, so your pay would go at 3 club to about $1,250 a month, up to about $3,300 a month at 12 club, give or take a little, but those are national averages for our business. Okay, so you've gone from $1,250 a month to $3,300 a month a year later. Not bad, but maybe not what you ultimately want to be making if this is your plan A, right? But look what happens that next year. You're doing the exact same thing. You're putting in the same amount of effort. You and every qualifier has people on base. You're committed to getting at least one of them around the bases, if not 2 or 3. But even if you all do one, you go from 12 club to the next conference 24 to the next conference roughly 50, right? In which case your pay is going from $3,300 a month to about $12,500 a month. And now you're looking from going from 50 to 100 6 months later. 100 clubs generally start at 250 to 300,000 a year. So you can see what I'm saying when I say you hit that inflection point and then it takes off. But I found this graphic earlier and I just loved it. I'll hide half the screen. It says what people think hockey stick growth looks like and what it really looks like. It's a hockey stick on its side. Don't let that scare you, okay? Because anything that's get rich quick is a crock. It doesn't exist. I tell people all the time, if somebody's proposing a get rich quick or you don't have to do anything or you don't have to work, it's not real. That's not what real life is. This is absolutely positively an opportunity that can change your family's financial and time and health situation forever and ever and ever and ever, right? And you do have to be patient. You do have to put in, the time. I don't think it needs to feel like work. I really don't. I do think it requires time, but it's worth it. And I think there's a huge difference, like in my old career and Sean's too, we spent a lot of time and now we're investing time. Big difference, And I say to people that whole concept of residual income that so many people aren't used to, like we come from a place where you would work your tail off and put so much time, energy, and talent into winning a deal. And you might get paid well, but you'd get paid once, right? And then you were back at zero. We are getting paid on conversations that we had 6 years ago. And we'll still be getting paid on those conversations 6 years from now. Those customers love their Juice Plus. So there really is the whole definition of residual income is getting paid on something past your initial effort. So I really want always the people on my team and anyone I talk to get super comfortable with the just business model in general. It's ingenious. It's great. And when you run across people that feel like about like network marketing or direct selling or whatever it is they're calling it, I like to tell them, like when we were at 39 Club, I looked at the Canadians, the people in the UK, and the people in Australia. Their growth is so explosive and at a rate much higher than the most people in this country. Yet they have the same skill set, the same marketing plan, the same product, the same 24 hours in a day. And so I'm like, what gives here? What's the differentiating factor? And after multiple conversations with them, the biggest differentiating factor is that direct selling and building a team of friends that you care about, doing something you care about, is revered in other countries. And we're getting there now here in this country. We're not far. We've hit the inflection point with that. People are realizing that direct selling is just a model of distribution, right? That it's in and of itself not an industry. And in every other country in the world, it's not just cool. It's like the coolest, most amazing thing you could be doing for yourself and your family. So the more and more people that are realizing that here, and I tell friends all the time, the reason you're seeing more and more of that is because when a company has a consumer product to distribute, this model makes more sense. It makes more sense for the customer, for the company, for everyone, and I use myself as an example. And this kind of really, I think, disarms people who might feel like, oh, another one of those things. I will call them right out. I'll be like, I know I'm sensing what you might be thinking. Another one of my friends selling something. But here's the thing. I love this. Like, I would so much rather buy something from a friend of mine because A, I'm going to get it for cheaper, right? When it's direct sales and not on a retail shelf. And B, I'm buying it from someone who cares about me not a random store clerk who's getting paid hourly and really does not care about my customer experience, my wants, my needs, nothing. Like, I hope more and more of my friends get involved, and if makeup is their thing, go with makeup. If health is your thing, come with me. If cooking's your thing, do something with cooking. Like, find what it is you care about and get involved in this space, because it's really not just unique, but it's the way things are going. And it's in our collective opinion, the only way to build the life that we were looking for when it came to being able to live where we want, work when we want, never have to retire. Sean's 50. And I know, right? He doesn't look a day over 22 because of his Juice Plus. But we say all the time, like, some of our friends that are our age are already having that conversation about what their life will look like when they retire in 10 or 15 years. And they go from their top earning years to zero. Maybe they have a pension if they're lucky, or some 401k, but we're building something that we get to retire into. We don't have to retire from this. We're never going to stop. Why would we? It's, it's fun and it's meaningful work. So I will send you, Christy, some of these documents, like my Who's on Base coaching call thing. The other thing I have is a collection of 5 different Voxer messages that I will also send that you can distribute if your team wants to use them. One's about the product. They're each 10 minutes. One's about the product. One's about the business, inviting people to the business. One is shred. One is once you start the team, it's like, welcome to the team. And the one is what to do once you're a qualifier. But we all on our team have those links just saved, and we forward them all day long. Like, shred, here, listen to this 10-minute message from my friend Kim. She's a health coach. It doesn't matter if I'm on your team or not. I'm still your friend Kim, and I'm still a health coach. Christy, if you want, I can also send you, I typed out the actual verbiage because I knew I'd have people that would want to record their own, but I'll send them so you can listen to them, and then you can record one, people on your team can record their own. But that has saved me so much time. Like, even today, 5 friends reached out about Juice Plus, and I used to send them links to my site or this and that. Instead, now I'm like, here's me talking for 10 minutes about what I think is the most important. Take a listen, and then let's chat because I want to get you started. That's it, and it's like, bam, bam. It happens so easily and quickly. So we have worked really hard on automating a little bit without taking out the personal experience, because I think you can kind of drown in talking about some of the logistics of it all. We want the conversations we're having with customers and team members to be meaningful conversations about them and their goals and their struggles, instead of the logistics of what is Juice Plus or this piece of research or what is the comp plan. So we have really recorded as much of that as we can into Voxer and YouTube, so that when we are using our time one-on-one or 3-on-1 or 15-on-1, that it's more valuable and meaningful time. And I know we've got to wrap, but Sean, do you want to just want to talk about how awesome this whole thing is for you?
Sure. I don't know how much time we have here, and I want to be respectful of your team's time.
We just want to be respectful of you. You guys are on fire, so do your thing.
One of the things that I'm very commonly asked about is, can you talk to my husband a little bit about the business, or can you speak to this about the business? And there's no reason that any of you can't also speak about the business as well as anyone else here. But sometimes there's a perception that if a guy hears it from a guy, that sometimes that will make a difference. And so, what I kind of talk about is, my business background. I worked for a Fortune 500 company. I also owned a small company with a partner, a marketing company that we took from a small company, grew to a bigger company, and then sold to an even larger company. And I've been involved in sales and marketing for over 25 years. So I've seen a lot of compensation plans I've worked under, I've managed under, I've designed, I've implemented, I've overseen plans. And the Juice Plus plan is as good, if not better, and probably I would say better than anyone I've ever seen in 25 plus years, in terms of driving the right behavior for the customer, for the representative, in this case, the independent representatives that we all are, and for the company. So it's just a brilliant plan. And it all starts with the product. Okay, I'm not going to get into the product. I think we're all pretty familiar with the product. But when you have that plan with that business model, it just makes a lot of sense. So a lot of times there's guys, and we'll have events where the husbands will come up to me afterwards. The wife will say, "Can you speak to my husband about it?" And the thing about it is, it really is. It's a great business to work as a team. And a lot of husbands say, "Well, I don't want to get involved, or I can't get involved right now. I'm earning, the income that we live off of, or I've got the job, and that's fine too. And, I kind of used to joke that when we first got started, I was an investor or a silent partner in the company in both, and now I'm a not so silent partner in the company. And so sometimes when you kind of break the ice that way, they kind of say, oh, okay, this is a business. Yeah, that's a way I kind of support things while we're getting things started, getting it up to speed. But as Kim mentioned, there are just so many options, so much flexibility, the not having to go in an office every day, the ability to work where you want. In the summer, we take a lot of vacations. We work from the beach. We work from where we are. And sometimes we just don't even work that much because we're on vacation. We don't have to be checking into the office every day. So it's a powerful thing. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do together. When you get to go to some of these conferences or something like the 39 Club, instead of saying, oh, honey, I wish you were here with me. You can see how beautiful it is here. We look across, raise our wine glasses, toast each other, and say, wow, it really is beautiful. This is this terrific business to be able to do together. So it really is a great way to do that. It's a very solid business model. Sometimes people will ask the question if they're not familiar with the business model, well, isn't this one of those pyramid schemes? Isn't this one of those scams? And the answer is absolutely not. First of all, pyramid schemes are illegal. I would never be involved with something that's illegal. They're also unethical, and I would never be involved with something that's unethical. What it is it's a method of bringing a product to market. There are different methods. There's the corporate sales force. When I worked at AT&T and when Kim worked at Xerox, we were part of a corporate sales force. We were employees. That's one way of getting goods to market, but it's also very expensive. There's the retail model. They could, you go to the store, whether it's, whatever the store is in your area, it's a Safeway, something, a Whole Foods. But as Kim mentioned, you're not generally served by someone who's got a vested interest in you and your health. You buy some vitamins at Whole Foods or at Safeway or A&P, people are probably going to follow up. Hey, how are those working out for you? Was it working out? 4 months later, how are you doing with those? Are you taking them every day? Have you noticed any changes? So Juice Plus has been very deliberate about the model. They want people who care, who are talking to people they care about, who are sharing the Juice Plus with them, who will follow up, who will answer questions with them. There's the internet model. I mean, I buy stuff on Amazon all the time, but if I weren't familiar with Juice Plus, I'm probably not going to go out and buy something and that I'm going to ingest, based on something I don't know anything about from no one I've heard of before. Or someone, sends me a random email. So it's a very deliberate business model. It makes a lot of sense, and it's a great way for people to start. The other thing is it's really no capital to get involved. Typically, when you start a business, there's a lot of capital involved. You might have to borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars, get a credit line, take a second or third mortgage on your house. Some cases it's more than hundreds of thousands. There's cases where some businesses require $1 million or more. And oftentimes you don't take a salary. You can't take a salary because you have to keep putting your money back in the business for a year, 2 years or more. The Juice Plus, it's $50 to get involved, which is, the closest thing to free. And for that $50, you get a website. And the other thing is you start making money almost immediately. You can make money your first month in the business. It's not a lot of money, but you can make some money. And then the second month you can make a little bit more. And then how much you make is up to you. The other thing is the opportunity. There are no caps, no limits to what you can do. In a traditional job, you kind of have to wait till something happens to your boss. Either he or she gets promoted if they're lucky, and you're lucky, and then you have an opportunity to move up, or move on somewhere else, so they leave the company. But until that happens, there may not be room for you to move up, no matter how well you're doing. With Juice Plus, that's not the case. You can continue.
A lot of people have to die before you get all the way to the top.
Try and focus on the positive, but sometimes, something happens to them. But with Juice Plus, that's not the case. You can continue to move up. You can even go above the person who brought you into the business. So you're not limited or capped or restricted in any way by that. And, the other thing is just, in terms of, the method. Juice Plus handles all the shipping. They handle all the collections. They handle all the, the billing of it. So it's not like you have to buy a stockpile of inventory and keep it in your garage and worry about shipping it out and taking it back and answering customer service. Juice Plus takes care of all that. So you really have an opportunity with no capital that you have to invest, and unlimited earnings, unlimited potential in terms of what you can do. That's limited only by your own drive and what you want to do and the hours you want to work. If you want to work an hour a day, you can do that. If you want to work more than that, you can do that. It's just a great business opportunity all around.
And I want to just kind of wrap it up by saying the other interesting thing I found about the people that I was glomming off of from like the UK and Australia and stuff, we were like, oh, we wanted to just like touch Adam Westwick and be like, did I get it? Did I get your magic? Like they're just growing so rapidly because this business model is so revered and taken so seriously in all these different places. And we can do that. We can set that stage here for the people we're talking to, right? We can, there's a difference between like ignorant and unaware. Most people are just unaware of what this really is, right? So we educate them a little bit, But because they take it so seriously, they treat it like their plan A from day one. Like a lot of these people overseas are really, truly willing to put in 8 hours a day from the day they start. And I'm not saying we've all got that kind of time, because we don't. But as much time as you can find possibly to invest in your business, it is worth every single moment that you invest, and the more time you have to invest and the wiser you're using that time, the more rapidly that's going to grow. But I just think when you look at the people that are really crushing it, they treat it like the $1 million business that it is.
I mean, 20 years ago when I was in business school getting my master's, we didn't study this business as much because it was very different back then. Jeff Roberti, who many of you may be familiar with, who's the top earner of Juice Plus, one of the top earners in the world in this sector. As people come up to him and say, "Oh, I wish I started the business when you started it." He's like, "No, you don't." It was so much harder then, right? Because they had to go and mail DVDs to people. DVDs were first coming out. They had to go and get cassette tapes and send them to people. I've heard of stories where people used to spend $500 a month on long distance calls, which you used to have to pay for. Or
there were no
shipping.
studies.
There weren't the studies. They had to ship things to people and then wait 4 days. And now you can be talking to someone on the phone and shoot them a video, via email or text or some other method while you're speaking to them. Say, "Why don't you open it up? Let me show you some things. Oh, by the way, here's 35 plus published, peer-reviewed, gold standard, double-blind, placebo-based studies from leading institutions and medical centers around the world." And so there's always things that we have available to us. So it has been a game changer, and there's an opportunity we have here now, which is very different than it was in the past.
And I thought of one last thing that I'm going to leave you with, sorry, because I think this is important. And this is something that's been super effective for me. There's a book called Go for No, or Get to the No, or something like that. I do think it's impossible. I do think it's possible to follow up with somebody until you get an answer. You want to follow up with them and make sure that you're giving them every opportunity to start this health habit. But one of the things, what a no turns into for me now, is I explain to people what the healthy living revolution is. And I simply say, look, Juice Plus is the foundational nutrition that I believe is, paramount in a building block for a healthy lifestyle. However, if you're not ready to start there, or if you don't see the value in that right now, that doesn't mean you don't want to improve your health and get healthy. I would love to put you in my Healthy Living Revolution group. That's why I don't call it my Juice Plus customer group. I call it my Healthy Living Revolution group. And I will send you the cookbook. I send them the cookbook electronically. If you have kids, I'll send you the Lily Ambassadors thing. And while they're in there, in that group, they're hearing Juice Plus testimonials and stories. They're seeing stuff on the studies, but they're also getting great information about hydration and exercise and cleaner eating. So they are, without even taking our products yet, a part of our Juice Plus community. And I can promise you, it is never long before they want something. They're ready for a Tower Garden or the shakes or the trio or you name it. So I would just say there's no such thing as no anymore with this healthy living revolution. Unless somebody is really like, I have no desire to get healthy, then fine. But if they are not ready to put a product in their mouth yet, I really encourage you to still put them in a healthy living revolution group so that they feel connected to this movement. And they will be exposed to a whole lot of people that are using Juice Plus as that foundational nutrition, and hear the stories that can be told from other people better than they can be told from us as one person. So that's my last bit of advice, but that's been super helpful for our team as well.
Oh my gosh. My mind is blown. You guys are the total power couple.
Aww.
Thank you so much for your wisdom, for being completely honest and open. I mean, do you guys, especially for some of you new people, do you see, Kim has no financial investment in my team and Kristen and Amy's team. This is the company we keep. Yeah, I just don't know why we don't do team calls in the morning, because now I can't go to sleep. So we can change that for 9 a.m. instead of 9 p.m.
Oh, I know. Hey, I'm a daytime person too. I do a lot during the day. But thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. This is
truly
to speak with you.
It's always fun. And even when you're kind of coming up with, because you know how when you go through the motions yourself, you're used to doing it. Sometimes being forced to come up with what are the most important things we're doing? It's a reminder of what the priorities are, right? Cut out the other stuff that doesn't mean anything and just do those things.
Yeah.
Like just keep running the bases and you're good to go.
I love that analogy. I'm not even a sports fanatic, but I get it. So I'm super excited to take a peek at it.
Well, yeah, it just takes you out of that acronym world where people are like, what's an HLP? What's promo PV versus PB in this? It's confusing. And I just say, don't worry about any of that. I will make sure all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. Let's just run the bases.
Love that. Let's run the bases. And that's a total team effort. So love it. Is there any chance that if we have a couple people who have questions, can we take a call?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Love to have.
Awesome. So I know somebody's got to. Cassie Johannes, I'm just going to throw it out there. Like, you're always a question asker. So do you have anything? Or are you speechless? You got, okay.
I'm
You
not
guys.
gonna lie, I'm speechless. I'm like, holy cow. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And thank you so much for sharing that stuff that you guys have.
Mm-hmm.
I will ask,
like I said, no need to recreate the wheel. Like, I am happy to share anything we're doing.
so I would be curious about your verbiage for like when you bring new people on and you're kind of talking about the bases and how you said it's, we're going to sprint here and then we're going to jog. What kind of verbiage do you use to give them that option? Or is it kind of like, this is what we do?
So I have a Boxer for that. And you guys are welcome to use it. The verbiage is written down. So you can either use mine or re-record it. But one of the things I tell them is that everyone is welcome on our team. You know what I mean? And I have stopped assuming that everyone has the same goals I do, right? So I am very cognizant of making sure I know everyone's goals, and I am very aware that goals change. So it is okay to come on and say, I'm not ready to get on base yet. I want to sit on the bench, observe for a while, see what happens. That's fine. But you tell me when you do want to get on base. There's also absolutely nothing wrong with going on base right away. Many people who are excited and have passion do that. And that way it kind of puts them in a position to say, okay, maybe I'll wait a little or go for it.
Okay. Awesome. So you have a Boxer for that.
I do have a Boxer for that, and it'll be in the list of them that I sent along to Christy. Yep. I'm serious. That has made my life so much easier.
That's brilliant. I don't know why I didn't think about that. The amount of time you save and just make sure you cover all the bases, quote unquote.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
When did your husband come into the business? Were you already an NMD?
Right. But he came in when I was about Q and started building.
Yeah, I was kind of working behind the scenes because what happened was, when my regular business, I'd be out, being in a sales and marketing role, I'd be out doing networking, and invariably, the conversation comes up, your family, your kids, or, health and wellness. And I'd be like, my wife's got a health and wellness business. Oh, there's a product, behind it. We start talking about it. And I come home and like, oh, hey, I was on a plane talking to somebody and here's a lead for you. So I, officially, so I was kind of, I said behind the scenes, but, helping, supporting, and, giving leads. We opened up a franchise in April of that year, April of 2015, 2 years ago. At which time I decided it was payback time. I said, hey, honey, remember those leads I've been giving you for 3 years? It's payback time. Now I want customers from you now.
Yeah.
So, kind of around the same time, Kim was kind of making that big push is when we started a business. So I'm an SC now, and hopefully or I shouldn't say hopefully be, I'm planning to be an SSC within the next 60 days. So continuing to move forward there.
And we would love, our ultimate goal is to build 10 NMD legs. We've got one now. We've got a second NMD coming up this month. She's going to hit by the end of this month. So that'll be our second, but we want 10 NMD legs for sure.
That's awesome.
As a start.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to ask mine because I'm dying to know, what is it like to promote your first National Marketing Director, Pam Alvarado? Just saying.
It's amazing. Like, it's amazing. Everyone always says, like, the only thing better than hitting it yourself is when your team starts to make it. And it's true. It's absolutely true. And there was somebody, who is it? Champal, that's his name, right? Like he said to somebody at one point, he was like, I don't want to be an NMD. I want to be an NMD machine, like turning out other NMDs. And I was like, yes, that's what it's all about. It just feels so good. It feels so good. Cause we all know that this product is a tool to get healthy. When we start to see our team members really hit that inflection point, it just, you've changed another life that way too. which is great.
Not a bad
Or to
gig.
promote your husband to an NMD. We'll see how that feels pretty soon, hopefully. Christy?
Yes.
And the rest of you?
Well, it's funny. Sean and I are so competitive. Like at one point, because I have a lot of customers, and my business partner was like, you're safe to build under Sean now, because I'm 11 PB legs wide. So she's like, you're 11 wide. Like you're totally fine to build under him now. And I was like, yeah, I know. He's like, you do get paid twice if it's under Sean. I'm like, I know. We're a little bit competitive. So
yeah, there is a point,
I still put him under me.
There is a point where it absolutely makes sense to, to have two people in the family working the business because, I get paid once when you get paid twice, but if you're hyper competitive, like some of us, we make more money, honey, if they're under me.
I don't care. I'd rather make less and win.
More money.
No, it's fun. It is healthy competition, I'll say.
He's
And
not
it is-
sleeping his way to the top, is he?
It's really cool, right? It's really cool to
Gotta
hear
do what you gotta do.
him start to have some of the nutrition conversations too, because that's my background. Like I'm the health coach, right? And I'll get in from picking the kids up or doing something, and Sean's he likes to walk when he talks, walk around the house. He'll be like, "Well, have you ever heard of metabolic reprogramming?" That happens where I'm like, "Whoa, wow," throwing out some big words there, but it's been cool to watch. It's fun. And plus, then you've always got somebody built in too that can pick up if you're running into something like, hey, can you call this person and run their numbers on what they need for sales coordinator?
Or, hey, can you go get the kids? I'm in the middle of a conference call. I get that too.
Yeah.
Total blessing.
It's nice.
That is awesome. You guys, seriously, thank you so much for this.
Oh, you're
It's an
welcome.
honor to be here.
Well,
Hey, I got a question.
Yes.
I got to ask the ultimate Christy question. If you could do it over again, what would you do differently?
Good question.
I would, my decision date to go for it, I would have gone to the first conference. I would have gone to the very first conference I had a chance to go to, and I would have treated it like a business from day one. I was such a customer machine for a couple years because I was such a fan of the product. If I could do it all over again, I would have spent more time up front understanding the power of the business model and how that could change lives as well, so that my passion would have grown for the team building earlier. That's what I would do different.
Yeah. In fact, I remember Kim coming home from the first conference and, putting the kids to bed. She's like, all right, we need to talk, and going out on the front porch and having a glass of wine and then a second glass of wine. But just saying, you don't understand, this is a real business opportunity. This is a real company. You don't understand how big it is. And so, you've heard it said, get people to the conference. And I think the sooner you do that, because we can talk about the business model, we can talk about the product, we can talk about the team, how great it is. All these things are fantastic. But when people get to conference and they see 7, 8, 9,000 people more, the enormity of it in a scale, this just really, it hits them that, wow, this is truly, a movement. This is huge. And so they realize this is not some small business that's being conducted in living rooms. It's being run across the country and across the globe.
The other thing I would have done sooner is come up with this basis thing. It's been so great for our team. I would have picked 3 people at a time to pour into like I am now. And then I don't like the term cut them loose, because it sounds like they're lacking support at that point, but they're not. They know what they need to know to help support. They will always be, getting your love and support as an upline, and they'll always be part of the bigger team. But I would have been more effective at really pouring into people up front and then letting them flourish as their own leader of their own organization.
Awesome. Anybody else? Any other questions? Y'all are quite group. This is incredible. Thank you so much, Kim and Sean. Our teams, there's chats going on all over the place of how empowering this has been. So we appreciate you taking the time to do this today.
You are so welcome.